Josh Allen taking the field at St. John Fisher for day one of Bills training camp. We are back. The 2025 season is underway. Thad Brown and Rachel Liebert here with you. This is Bills Campday Recap, a full rundown of everything that went on at St. John Fisher. We're going to be here all camp long, every single day. If there's a practice at St. John Fisher, we will have this program on your screen ready to wrap it up. A lot of things to get to today. Max Hairston in the news with the suit he's facing. James Cook on the field. He was practicing despite still wanting a new contract. But Rachel, what we're going to do in this show, we're going to do what we call football first. No matter what's going on in the world, for the most part, when it's reasonable, we're going to start this show talking about what we saw on the field today. And I think very easily when you talk about this practice, and not surprising for early in training camp, it was about the defense looking much better than the offense.
Yeah, 100%. When we were watching practice, we saw it. The offense they were struggling a little bit. I mean, it's day one, and like you said, defense is expected to, be the stars of the day, but they were struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
Not the cause of concern, but...
Well, it's day one of camp, so no one's worried about anything right now. But I think the guy that started today, the guy that actually makes Bills fans feel good about this defense was Christian Benford, who looked just phenomenal. The Bills, for the most part, did red zone work. They stayed close to the goal line, so there wasn't a lot of open field to deal with. It made it easier for the defense just based on what the situation was. But even that being said, Christian Benford had multiple opportunities where he just totally shut down Keon Coleman. Coleman had a rough day at the office with Christian Benford on him today. And Benford, for a guy who took a big leap last year, to me, walking away from today, it's only one practice, but he seemed like a guy who was poised for another big leap this season.
Yeah, he looked like a leader. Like 100%, he looked like the leader on defense. He was out there and he knew what he needed to do. I saw a tweet. It said he had roughly nine passes that were incompletions, they weren't any.
Today?
That I don't know if that's true. We might have to fact check that. But but based on what we saw out there, I mean, he was shutting it down on defense. He was not making, or the offense wasn't making the plays. So, I mean, 9 if that's the number, but we'll stick with 9. That feels like a good number. It might be right.
It felt like 9, and it wasn't just him too. Really, the whole secondary was, putting on a show about what they can do in a short field, in a zone situation. I mean, Josh Allen did not have many windows to look for or to find. Yeah. There just wasn't much working for the offense. Now, one thing that we always want to talk about when we analyze a practice is that you don't know what the offense was working on. It did seem like they were using more of a swing kind of offense, checking things down, Dalton Kincaid out of the backfield, James Cook out of the backfield. There wasn't a whole lot relatively that was going to the end zone. So that caveat for sure. And the other thing, you're not going to hear us talk today much about what the offense or defensive lines were doing because no one was wearing pads. Yeah. And I've talked to these guys enough to know that usually when they're outside of pads, when it's just helmets and shorts, there's not a lot getting done that's real football-esque in the D-line and O-line. So this is going to be primarily a skill-based competition.
Yeah, exactly.
But while we're doing that, and we're going to get to more of the defensive backs in a minute, one thing that you noticed on offense today, or want to talk about at least, was the backup quarterback situation. And I guess it's practice one. We shouldn't be shocked. It's not like Josh Allen needs 8,000 reps. But there was a lot of Mitch Trubisky and Mike White and even Shane Bushel who were getting reps today.
I know. I saw him. I was like, I had to check my roster.
Exactly. I
was like, who is that? He honestly, I mean, he made some good completions. There were a few that, he should have made. But no, I was just going to say that we had talked about this before, earlier, I think on the end game, about how would we feel comfortable if Trubisky was the backup quarterback. And today, looking at it, I still stand by my decision that I don't think I'm comfortable with it. And even he and Mike White neither of them had any phenomenal completions through the entire time. And I feel like they got a lot of reps as far as what I was seeing, and neither of them stood out to me. I mean, Mike White literally was just put on my radar this morning. I did not know much about it. But I don't know. I don't feel comfortable with Trubisky either. And he looks like the number 2 guy right now, but I mean, time will tell. So
I don't think there's any threat from Mike White to be the number 2, which isn't really a compliment to Mike White. He had to throw it today. KJ Hamler was running wide open back at the end zone.
I did see that one. Yeah.
Now look, as I tweeted this, the play was not an easy throw. It takes a kind of a layered throw to be able to get the ball up over the linebackers and drop it into a guy at the back of the end zone. But Hamler was running by himself in my opinion, it's a throw a professional quarterback should make. Yeah. And White didn't just miss it. He missed it by like 5 feet. And that was, I think you're right, kind of the story of the backup quarterbacks today. And not that Josh Allen was much better based on what the defense was doing. Too, it wasn't really a good day for the offense in general, but the backup quarterbacks certainly did not distinguish themselves at all.
No.
Let's move on to Maxwell Hairston now, who start with what he did on the field here. And I thought he had an up and down day. Early on, he looked like a guy who was getting an education. Didn't play full-time with the number ones today. Had some reps with Dane Jackson in the second team. And there were a couple moments where this looked like a rookie in his first practice. And it was that, so not a surprise. He had one spot where he was in his zone coverage, and it looked like he was in the right spot. Like he had, in the right landmark, in the right position. And then Josh Allen basically threw a ball off his ear hole to Dalton Kincaid for a touchdown. So it's one thing to know go to the right spot. It's another thing to actually make the play. And he didn't make that second part of it. He did bounce back later. Give me your impression of Hairston and kind of what you thought his day was and his first practice here at St. John Fisher.
I mean, kind of the same thing. Like you said, he looked like a rookie who was going out there for the first time, trying to get a feel of what was happening. I mean, he, like you said, again, he did bounce back and have that one play that you talked about that I missed.
We'll get to that
in a minute. Of course I missed. But, I mean, I think there's got to be a level of expectation for him, too, just going in as, the top pick and people thinking that, you can step up and be this potential starter or be, this person that makes a difference on defense. But, I mean, I think he had the day that I would expect from him, day one being a rookie.
The play that you referred to was right at the end of practice. KJ Hamler again involved. Wide open in the back of the end zone, but standing still. He had reached his spot and was open, and Mitch Trubisky was trying to hit him. And Hairston is known for being a guy who can close fast. And the play was right at me. So Hairston kind of came out of my eyesight in front of me on the play. And he was like a bolt of lightning getting to this play. And, you hear about speed and how good it is and how much of a weapon it is. And you think, oh, whatever. Who's not fast in the NFL? This was different. This was a piece of
upset that I missed it.
This was a piece of speed that I don't see a lot. Now, look, the fact that he was kind of out of position in the first place and had to close, that's a negative. But you can see, and I was talking with Carl Jones, who, I'm on with Bill's Kickoff Live about this later on. The point he made was like, when you're that guy, you can get away with being out of position. Because you have the wheels to close it down. And you saw it right there. Now, look, it's Mitch Trubisky to KJ Hamler. Max Hairston ain't covering that combo one time during the regular season. Not even Justin Fields to whatever random Jets receiver they have. This is going to be a step up from that, but it was still an incredible play. Now, we talked early on in the show about how the sexual assault lawsuit is still a part of the deal. That was filed 3 weeks ago. Today, both Max Hairston and Brandon Beane kind of talked about what Hairston has been doing to address this lawsuit and why, both he and the Bills feel he's pretty innocent.
This happened to this young man, over 4 years ago. He gave up his phone, to prove some of his. He took a polygraph test. This kid didn't run from anything. He answered every single thing.
I went through this whole process with the police. They went through a thorough investigation, and I was exonerated from that. The University of Kentucky did a thorough investigation. I was exonerated from that as well. And, I volunteered to do multiple polygraphs because I was determined to, get my truth out there because I had nothing to hide. I was an open book.
Sometimes these guys can be victims, too. They make a lot of money. And I just want to make sure rarely do people defend them. And that's hard for me in this seat sometimes because I've seen it. We've had it here with a player here a few years ago that's no longer here that was wrongly accused. And it's frustrating.
Brandon Beane, of course, talking about Matt Araiza, the punter now in Kansas City, who was released from the Bills a few years ago when he had his own issue. Look, I think for the most part, what the Bills and what Hairston are saying are convincing enough to feel like the Bills, at least the Bills feel like they've done the right thing. They've covered all their bases, checked all their boxes, and certainly feel like that he is innocent enough. Not that, either you're innocent or you're not, but they feel confident enough in his innocence, I think is the best way to say it, that he's okay to be on the field. That you and I both had some issues with kind of the way it was presented today, but let's put aside with the niggling over each individual word. I do walk away from what both sides said today and feel like that the Bills probably are in the right here with thinking that Maxwell Hairston will not be punished or found liable in this lawsuit.
Yeah, I agree. I think, like you said, they've done all that they can do, and he seems very open to talking about it as far as saying, I took these steps and, you know, he's doing what he can. And Brandon Beane, like we said, there's some things that he said that maybe he could have said differently, but at the same time, that's what you would expect him to say. I mean, he's not going to stand up there and say probably how he truly feels, and even if he felt the opposite way, I feel like, you know, he has his answer and that's it. But I also feel like he's speaking from like how he truly feels, and they did what they needed to do. So
Brandon Beane is usually pretty open about that stuff, even with situations like this, maybe even to a fault, to be honest with him. But I think for, you know, like we said, for the most part, it feels like the Bills and Hairston are handling this the right way. And the big question, of course, coming into day one, Rachel, was what would James Cook do? Would he be there? Would he do anything? I think most people thought he would be there.
What would James Cook do?
Exactly.
WWJCD.
JD, is there a bracelet for that yet or no?
We should make one.
They probably would
That'd
sell.
be good.
Bill's Mafia loves that stuff. So he was there. That's not a surprise. He was a full participant. Now, it wasn't a surprise to me. I kind of, that was the way I was leaning. But it wasn't a lock that he was going to be a full participant.
No, and he even said last week, was that, or whenever he did his press conference, he left the door open, like we said, of him. He said, well, we'll just have to see you at camp. And we saw he was there. So good for him for practicing and doing it. I think everybody was saying it'll be a judge of his character and like, will he follow in his brother's footsteps and all of that stuff. So.
Well, his brother, when his brother needed a new contract, his brother practiced. Now his brother threatened during the offseason that he wouldn't practice, but then he showed up and practiced. And even, you know, the Vikings, and I talked about this on the end game, that the Vikings even kind of helped him out by not running him into the ground during practice while he was negotiating. So if he follows that, if James follows Dalvin's example, he should be out there the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, I think maybe he had a talk with his brother. Maybe his brother, like, you need to go out there.
Right.
Because, I mean, I wasn't surprised either that he was there, I think. But I also don't think I would have been surprised if he didn't show up, maybe.
Yeah,
part of me would have been like,
definitely on the table.
Yeah, it was on the table. But, yeah, he was there. He was fully practicing. And Sean McDermott was asked about it to start the press, or just before camp happened. He honestly, his answer, like I told you, it was like 12 seconds. Seemed like he kind of was just like, we're focused on football and then we're moving forward from this question today. Brandon Beane had more of an in-depth answer of just going into contracts. You know, Brandon Beane is always going to give you that 5-minute spiel about the contracts. But yeah, I mean, they just said he's there, and he's, regardless of what's happening with the contract situation, he's there and he's going to put his head down at work, and that's what they're focused on.
Let's hear what they had to say.
James is a competitive dude. He's a stud. He's a great teammate. Like, he wants to be here. He loves ball. Of course, who doesn't want to get paid? And I think everyone knows I'm going to have an open dialogue with, you know, the players. That's just who I am, and we'll let the business take care of itself.
Couldn't be more pleased with James and him being here on time and ready to go. I had a chance to meet him, greet him yesterday, and shake his hand, look him in the eye, and he's ready to go.
I do want to pay them all. I mean, I really do, especially the ones that they're working hard, they're producing on the field, their teammates love them, the fans love them. Like, James fits Buffalo. I can tell you, I'm hopeful when we're sitting here at next year's training camp that James Cook is out there practicing, you know, and still representing the red, white, and blue.
So not a surprise. I don't think much of the statements, you know, in terms of what was said today, the Bills want him around. James Cook didn't talk to the media today. He's going to address the media tomorrow officially, so we'll hear more, at least from his side. But this is still a positive reflection on who the Bills are. That you've got a guy who clearly has made it clear that he wants a new contract, and he's still out there practicing without an issue, not causing a problem yet. You know, you never know. I've said that, like, when the pads come on and the hitting gets real, even if the tackling doesn't get real, maybe it changes. You know, it's different when it's helmets and shorts. But so far, James Cook has been a model citizen.
Yeah. And he seemed full effort, too. It wasn't like he was out there kind of, you know, you could tell
exactly.
maybe he didn't want to be there. But, yeah, I mean, I'm glad he showed up. So that's a good example.
I'm sure the Bills are, too.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure Brandon Beane is.
It continues. I mean, Brandon Beane's never had a contract issue. You know, he got all his other young guys signed in the offseason. So even though Cook is not signed, that streak, I guess, is still continuing. Yeah. The other thing going on today that was new and fun and interesting, Hard Knocks is at camp. And you know, we were talking about this before. It feels like an army of, like, people in blue shirts. They were everywhere. They were everywhere today. And, you know, I guess I wasn't surprised that it was that level of involvement or like if you watch Hard Knocks, it feels like they cover everything.
Yeah.
Well, to do that, you probably have a lot of people.
You got to be everywhere to cover everything.
There were a lot of people there today. Give me your take on Hard Knocks quick.
I mean, I don't have anything to reference from being last training camp, but I know you said it felt like there were a lot more people there this year, and it definitely felt that there were people absolutely everywhere. I actually, before Sean McDermott's press conference, before camp started, I was talking to one of the guys, and he was saying how, because the whole thing too is that the Bills aren't super thrilled that Hard Knocks is there and how it's going to affect them and all of that. And he was telling me that the team has not really warmed up to them yet. I mean, it's been 24 hours, 48 hours at this point, but he was saying they haven't really warmed up. He hopes that they do, because that would obviously make a lot better content for what's going on here.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, they were everywhere. They were getting everything. They all seemed, I mean, it's cool. I'm excited to see the finished product, just based on obviously our perspective and then them being there and everything. But yeah.
The dumb thing about it is, and this has always been true, this is even before Hard Knocks, I work in television. You work in television, okay? No matter how many times we are on TV, if something like this happens, I'm going to spend every second of frame. Oh, was that me in the background?
Yeah,
Did
literally.
you see a shot of me there? Right.
I was already thinking, I'm going to have to tell my parents to watch this and see if I'm in the background.
So, separate of us giving our extra bonus airtime, the Bills did talk about it today, and you brought up the point about how they are not super thrilled to be a part of this. They didn't make it seem that way today.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I found interesting, and this is not a shock with the Bills, but they are trying to turn this into something that can be a positive. Listen to what Josh and Sean and Brandon all had to say.
Coach McDermott's hit it pretty on the head of just this is what a good organization looks like, and people are going to get a sneak peek into that and just how we operate. So again, you can kind of think two ways about it, but we're taking the way of hey, let's do what we do, and whatever is shown is shown. We have nothing to hide.
We are who we are. I think the cool part about this is, people see us on Sunday, they see us on game day. Now they get a chance to see that what we do on Sunday is exactly what we do Monday through Saturday. And I think that's the cool piece about it. The increased noise, if you will, is maybe in some ways good practice for us.
We want to make this a very positive experience. And will there be an intrusive thing here or there? Of course, but it's all in the preseason, and I don't expect any issues or anything like that. And we'll all work together and make sure it's a good product for our fans. That's what we want.
It's kind of funny when you look at an athlete, and very often when they're faced with any sort of situation, right, they're going to try and win the situation, whether it's scoring a touchdown or having the right directions to go to the store. We're gonna find the best directions. We're gonna win this. And the Bills are gonna look at this Hard Knocks thing and try and win it. They want to show off, and I think there's a part of it too. Last year the Bears were on, and the Bears were a borderline dysfunctional head coach that was about to get fired. Yeah, they had a brand new shiny quarterback, but he's a rookie, doesn't know anything. You're a team that's really kind of still trying to figure things out, and the Hard Knocks is going to expose you.
Yeah,
the Bills are a well-oiled machine. I mean, we've talked in the media about how Sean McDermott at this point, he doesn't have to write down every moment of practice.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing. The people under you know what you're doing. So to be able to show off this machine and say, look at us. We're going to puff out our chest and show you what we can do. I totally understand that. I think it's a fascinating part of how the Bills are approaching this. Now, it doesn't mean that while you're puffing your chest out, you don't occasionally let something slip that might bother you later on. But I do find it interesting that this is the way the Bills are going to approach it. Not surprising, but interesting that they're going to, A, enjoy showing off as they should, and B, try and win being on Hard Knocks, because what else do athletes do?
Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing Brandon Beane said when he was on his spiel about it, is that they're taking it kind of as motivation to, like you said, just show off and show all of these people what they're capable of. I know I told you earlier, Beane had said something along the lines of it's like when you show off, you're trying to show off to your mom, you're playing basketball in your street, or you're playing some sport, you're trying to show off to your mom, and you don't want the people watching to think you're a loser.
Right.
That's what he compared it to. And I think that's so funny, but it's true, because if you have all these cameras on you obviously people see what happens during the season, but to lead up to it, you don't want to, the behind the scenes, you don't want them to think you're a loser, if that's the way you want to put it. But yeah, I think it's cool that they're using it as kind of a motivation. So
My bad on having the microphone off for you for half of that, by
It's
the way.
okay.
That's my fault.
Did I? It's
You
okay.
know, we all heard it. We all heard that it was an excellent point. It really was. But that was my fault on the
It's
on the
okay.
technical stuff. So
All you need to know is that Brandon Bean doesn't want to look like a loser.
Well, right. And again, it goes back to the point we were making before about they're trying to win. They're trying to win this
same
thing.
thing.
You know?
Same thing.
What we're going to do every single day after each practice is hand out turkey burgers. It's something we've been doing on Bill's Campday Recap. In the prior versions of it, we're going to keep it going here. Essentially what the turkey burgers are, most Bills fans understand, it's Josh Allen. He loves the turkey burgers at Fisher, and they're good. You haven't had them yet.
I haven't. I'm excited to try.
They are good. They are worth the hype. But what we do is when you have a good day, it's kind of like an Ohio State Buckeye. You have a good day, you make a good play, you get a turkey burger. We'll do 1 or 2 or 3 or however many we feel like doing today. I will go first, and my first turkey burger of camp is going to go to Balin Spector. One big play today, and look, this is a guy who's fighting for time as a linebacker. It was Matt Sokol, the new tight end, who was not open, but in good position on a good throw from one of the backup quarterbacks, a rare good throw from a backup quarterback. And Spector, without seeing the ball, got his hands in between Sokol's hands and knocked it away. And look, Spector's going to be on the bubble to win a job, not just a starting job, to win a roster spot. And it was an eye-opening play today on a day where the defense really was full of eye-opening plays.
And I saw that play. I was there for that. So I can attest to that one.
Your first turkey burger is?
We're going offense. My offense. Yeah, Josh Palmer.
There you
okay. Josh Palmer. He didn't have like a crazy phenomenal day. I just thought the Josh to Josh connection, like there were just some moments that they looked really comfortable together. And like Josh Palmer looked like a leader out there kind of in certain scenarios. And when they were doing their whole touchdown celebrations and everything, he just looked very comfortable for being, out there with that, like for the first time.
For day one, I agree.
For day one, yeah. And I'm excited to see how their connection progresses through the season.
They did a lot of work after practice today.
Did they?
Yeah, working on stuff.
I did see a tweet about that, yeah.
Keon Coleman was there too, Josh Palmer. They even had a good conversation coming off the field. Seemed like a good conversation coming off the field, Josh Allen and Josh Palmer. Look, Josh Palmer is going to be a guy that's going to have to be relied upon in this offense one way or the other.
For sure,
here.
yeah.
My second turkey burger today, Max Hairston, baby. That play again, let me emphasize it again. He came out of nowhere. KJ Hamler was going to score a touchdown. It's like, phew, there's Max Hairston. The only other guy in the team in recent years who I've seen operate at that speed is Taron Johnson. And is usually making a run stop. Yeah, this was, if you at home want to see high-level flashes out of your first-round pick, you absolutely got it day one. So 100% for me, a turkey burger for Max Hairston. Rachel?
Christian Benford. We're coming back to him.
Yep.
Just a great day on defense overall. That's it. Just leading the defense. Just, stopping everything. Kudos to him.
He was dominant.
burger.
Yeah, he was dominant. he was next level dominant. Again, like we said last year, he took a step. Today looked like the beginnings of another step.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for the day one edition of Bill's Campday Recap. And as we go to shut it down for today, something we're going to try and do every day here. It's Josh Allen signing autographs, everybody. It is the highlight of camp for a lot of people, and boy, he does a great job when it comes to giving the kids their opportunity, giving everybody a chance to be a part of it. And it is one of the highlights of camp. I know people who go there, they're dying for the Josh Allen autograph, a couple kids. It definitely seemed like their life had been made today. So there you go, Josh Allen signing autographs. One day of camp is in the books. Another practice tomorrow. We will be back here for another edition of Bill's Campday Recap then. For Rachel Liebert, I'm Thad Brown. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again tomorrow.